Hello, my friends. This is Soaries, and I'm here with you tonight for a few reasons. But of course, I'm sure you know what prompted this time has has been the coronavirus and all of the responses. I believe in God. I don't believe God makes bad things happen. I believe God gives us an opportunity to respond, and it's our response that demonstrates our faith. And so let me welcome all of you to this time with me. I don't plan to hold you long. I never plan to hold anyone long, but I appreciate all of your interest. I appreciate the followership and friendship that many of us have had for years. And I want to say a word to pastors and church leaders. I want to say a word to people who are impacted physically by the virus. Hello, I see you. I see you, Jasmine. I see you. Uh, I can't wave at you because my hands are busy. But let somebody know you're with us. I have a few things to say that are probably unique to me, meaning I've got some things to say for 3 hours with bankers and bank presidents, and I've got some things to say to you about banking and finance. I was on a conference call last night with about 300 pastors from around the country, and I do have some things to say to pastors and church leaders. But while we're waiting for people to gather, I do want to convey my love and my sincere concern for those persons who are impacted by the virus. You know, when you have a pandemic like this and you have organizations like CNN reporting every day how many more people are affected by any situation, what can happen is the situation becomes so large that the victims become numbers. And we don't want to reduce people who are coughing, people who have high fever, people who are afflicted with this virus. We don't want to reduce them to statistics and numbers. They have names, they have families, they have futures, and you don't want to become so cynical that when people are announced as having succumbed to the virus, you know, if they're 80 or 90 years old, the assumption is, well, they were old anyway. No, every victim has a family. Every victim could have a future. Every victim could have perhaps been spared a tragic end had our leadership in our country taken this more seriously than it did when it happened. I was at a meeting in mid-February looking at some financial matters, and in February, this institution that I'm a part of was looking at the impact of the virus on the global economy 1 month ago. And so there are people who are justifiably upset because the leadership didn't take it as seriously as it could have when it should have. However, I'm not here to beat up on the White House or beat up on the bureaucracy or to criticize pastors who are continuing to have gatherings on Sunday morning. What I want to do is to edify you, to educate you just a little bit and motivate you in ways that I think are appropriate for times like these. Because every generation has had seasons of tremendous challenge. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter what political party you're in. Every generation has had its unique challenge. I've thought about the World War II generation. I remember hearing stories from my parents of having air raids and having drills where they had to go down into the basement of various institutions, various schools, and they did that because after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, only God knew whether or not the Japanese were going to bomb New York or Chicago or Miami. And so we've had challenges, and every nation has had challenges. My first thought when I began hearing about the quarantine, and I began hearing about the curfews, and when I heard that the National Guard had been sent by Governor Cuomo into New Rochelle, New York, a suburb of Manhattan, I thought to myself, while this is traumatic, this is life-changing for us as Americans, fact of the matter is, most people live in a part of the world where disruption through war or violence or hurricanes or earthquakes is normal. Not just outside of America, but right here in America. Puerto Rico is still reeling after having had an earthquake a couple of years ago. There are people in Puerto Rico that still don't have electrical power because of an earthquake. Haiti had earthquakes over 10 years ago, and there are still Haitians living in tents provided to them by humanitarian efforts after their earthquake over 10 years ago. There are people who live in nations where the ocean has arisen and just eaten up their coast, tsunami and famine and war. So what I want you to know is that we are blessed. Those of us who live in this country, whether we're black or white, whether we are Protestant or Catholic, atheist, we have become so accustomed to the conveniences that we enjoy, to the standard of living that is unique to us, that we really can't complain too severely over the fact that we have to stay home. You know, in so many places, if they were told to stay home, they wouldn't have a home to stay in. That while we have too many homeless people in this country, most of us are home. We are home, and we have a roof over our heads. We have electricity. We have indoor plumbing. If you've never had to go to the bathroom, if you've never had to relieve yourself in an outdoor facility, then you've missed the reality of what so many people have as life. And so, yes, we're in for a rough ride. Yes, we're in a dangerous environment. I heard the governor of California state today that he expects 50% of the citizens of his state to be infected with the coronavirus. 50%. I mean, that is huge. That's millions of people. I heard the governor of New York say that he just doesn't have enough ventilators, and so if people need help breathing, there aren't enough devices to help them breathe. I heard an official from the Center for Disease Control tell people, if you can't get a mask, use a bandana, cover your face. I mean, these are unprecedented times. I've seen stock in solid companies go down 20, 30, 40, 50%. There are people like myself planning to retire, whose retirement funds have been slashed in half, and the end hasn't come yet. The worst is yet to come. But my brothers and my sisters, it could be worse. And because it's not worse, I think our first response to this kind of crisis has to be, one, let us pray and care for the people who are affected the most. I'm sure that if you had to choose between being healthy and having all of the value of your stock, you would choose health. You could always get more stock, but you can't get more health. The second response, after we care for and pray for those persons who are affected, the second response is to figure out who can we serve. Sometimes your own inconvenience is lessened when you see someone who's in a situation that's worse off than yours. This quarantine and this lack of mobility has caused some people to work from home, but think of the elderly people, 80, 90 years old, who are locked in their homes. And perhaps one of the things you'd like to do, especially if you're a member of First Baptist or a member of any church that's asking people to care for the elderly, perhaps you want to adopt a senior. You know what I've discovered? I've discovered that a lot of what we are planning to do as churches and communities, and a lot of what the politicians are planning to do, a lot of the instructions we're receiving on how we should live because of the virus, truth is, we should have been doing it anyway. I mean, on the health scene, we should have been washing our hands. I have hand sanitizer in my car. I have hand sanitizer in my desk. I didn't wait for coronavirus to come along to start washing my hands. We should wash our hands when we go to the bathroom. It is absolutely disgusting to be in airports. I'm in airports all the time, and you rush into the bathroom and you see people in the bathroom, and when they finish doing what they went to the bathroom to do, they go right out to the airport. And I'm not just talking about before the virus, I'm talking about last week. I was in Atlanta, Georgia over the weekend, and I stopped in the bathroom in Atlanta, and there were people in the bathroom in Atlanta, Georgia, who finished relieving themselves and walked right out of the bathroom, didn't wash anything. We should have been washing our hands a long time ago. We shouldn't be coughing in each other's faces. That's nasty. And so a lot of what we are instructed to do because of this virus, we should have been doing it as clean, civilized people long time ago. But beyond that, we started at our church asking people to volunteer. I've just assigned someone to coordinate the effort. If there's an elderly person at home, chances are during the day, they're at home by themselves. Normally, we have a wonderful luncheon and we take seniors on trips, and we have speakers, and we have a gourmet chef that feeds them every week. But we can't do that now because we can't assemble in crowds that large. So instead of the seniors coming to us, I've asked for volunteers who will contact the seniors. And if you'd like to be one of those volunteers, you can go to our website, fbcsomerset.com. You can sign up on the website and we'll assign you to a senior. What do we want you to do? Call them on the phone. Talk to them. They're lonely. Offer to support them in some way. Explain to them how to use their computer if they'd like to stream service on Sunday. Ask them if there's a relative that they'd like you to call. Because what's going to happen is if you call 2 or 3 times in a week and no one answers the phone, then we're going to send somebody to that senior's home to make sure they're okay. So let's adopt seniors. But we shouldn't need a virus to do that. We should have been adopting seniors anyway. We're having online Bible study. We shouldn't wait for a virus to have online Bible study. We have prayer calls by telephone. We didn't need a virus to pray together. The point is, what we will see is that people of goodwill, Christians, churches, are now thinking about strategies that, in my opinion, we should have been doing long before the virus came. And perhaps that's an example of why the Bible says that all things work together for good. That doesn't mean all things are good, but the Bible says all things work together. In other words, when anything happens, there is some good that can unfold from the fact that it happened. And I believe the church is going to get stronger. Christians are going to become more active. Volunteerism, sacrifice, humility, reality is going to be a part of the blessing that we receive from this very, very tough and challenging situation. Now, I want to say one more thing about the challenge. You know, we're having services on Sunday, and all over the internet, Facebook, internet, Twitter, people are challenging each other over whether or not we should be closing churches. I've heard it said, if you have enough faith, you can go to church in large numbers and God will protect you. I've heard that. I've heard people quote the scripture in Hebrew that says we should not forsake the assembling of ourselves together. In other words, if you are Christians, if you are the church, you are required to meet and gather. Now, of course, I guess they forgot Jesus said, if you just get 2 or 3 in my name and I'll be in the presence. But it does say that we should not forsake the assembling of ourselves together. And the thing is, there are preachers now criticizing other churches. There are Christians criticizing preachers who insist on complying with the guidance of the Center for Disease Control. They're criticizing churches that want to contribute to leveling this spread so that America does not become like Italy. And they want to criticize people for attempting to use common sense. there is no conflict between faith and common sense. None. I have faith, but I'm not going to test God by jumping off of my roof and demanding that God give me wings to fly. No, that's just dumb. And there are some things that have nothing to do with religion, God, faith, Holy Spirit. They're just dumb. But what's really dumb is the argument. It's not the decision. And the reason the argument is dumb is because you cannot close the church. Jesus said that the gates of hell cannot stop the church. The church consists of the people. And so I theme at First Baptist, and my mantra as I talk to other Christians and pastors is this: the church is open. It's the building that's closed. So yes, our building in Somerset is closed, except on Sunday morning. A few of us will go into the sanctuary. We will conduct a worship, and we'll be ministering and fellowshipping and praising God with people online. We'll be using technology. We'll be using the internet. We'll be using live stream. We'll be using the church's website. We'll be using Facebook Live. If we stay out long enough, we'll be using YouTube. We'll be using Instagram. We'll be using these technologies that were not built for this reason. Technology is neutral. It's not Christian or non-Christian. It's not saved or unsaved. Technology is a tool, and I believe the church can use the tool to do effective ministry. Now, let me say a word about our finances. I've been tutoring pastors because many of our churches live Sunday to Sunday financially, the same way many of our members live paycheck to paycheck. Living Sunday to Sunday means that we survive. We pay our bills, we pay our debt, and we pay our salaries based on what came in to the plates last Sunday. We have no savings account. We have no emergency savings. We live from Sunday to Sunday because for many of our churches, that's the best we can do. Excuse me. And if we owe money, there's a difference between bills and debt. If you take the dfree course, you can see we talk about bills, we talk about debt. Your electric bill is a bill. Your insurance is a bill. Staff, those are bills. And so all of us have bills, our personal lives, our business lives, and our church lives. But if you've taken out a loan to buy furniture, if you've taken out a loan to build a building, if you've taken out a loan to buy land, you owe someone that money. That's debt. There's a difference between a bill and a debt. So I'm talking to churches and church leaders all across the country that have debt, because if you've been living Sunday to Sunday or even month to month, as our members are losing their jobs, or as our members' assets are shrinking, as our members are we as churches, as institutions, are going to suffer. You can't, my grandmother said, you can't get blood from a turnip. And if our members don't have the capacity, they won't be putting as much in the offerings as they used to put. And so there are churches that owe private lenders, there are churches that owe credit unions, there are churches that owe banks. But whoever you owe, if you have a debt, here is my advice to you and to your pastor or to your congregation. Number one, contact your lender before they contact you. Don't wait to get 2 or 3 weeks or 2 or 3 months behind in your debt payments. Contact your lender tomorrow, because chances are this virus and these circumstances and this economic meltdown is going to be impactful on your members' lives, and it's going to in turn impact your offerings. And when your offerings are impacted, it could undermine your church's ability to pay its debt payments on time. So don't wait for it to happen. It's likely to happen. Contact your lender and tell your lender who you are, what you owe, and find out. The first call, all you want to do is establish contact with a person, a real live person. Get the name of a person, let them know what institution you represent. Let them know that, like the rest of the earth, you are facing financial challenges. You'll be making financial decisions. And since you owe them money, you want to establish who it is you should call in another week or two to make some special arrangements, or at least to keep them abreast of what's happening with your organization. So call tomorrow. Today is Friday. Today's Thursday. Call tomorrow. But whoever your lender is, if your lender is an individual, institution, a bank, credit union, call them. Then, if you find that your income is no longer adequate to pay your debts, what I want you to do is to begin thinking about options. One option could be what's called a forbearance, where you have, let's say you have 50 payments left on the loan that you took out to build your church. You have 50 payments left, but for the next 3 to 6 months, you may not be able to make those payments. What you want to do is offer a forbearance. You may want to have an attorney assist you with this. A forbearance could be you take 5 or 6 payments, your next 4 or 5 months or 6 months of payments, April, May, June, July, August, September, and say to your lender, what I'd like to do is pay you nothing for the next 6 months. And then you take those 6 payments and put them at the end of your payment cycle. And so if you had 50 payments left, you were going to pay 1 payment per month for the next 50 months. What you would do is take the next 6 months, add it to the end so that you end up paying it off in 56 months instead of 50 months. But for 6 months, you paid nothing. So that's one approach, a forbearance. Or you could do interest-only payments. If the majority of your payment is principal, you can make interest-only payments and you keep owing the amount that you owe, but you keep current with your loan because you're paying for the interest and it lowers your monthly payments. Or you could refinance the entire proposition. In other words, if you bought a building and there are 48 payments left, and those 48 payments represent $500 a month, what you may want to do is to refinance those 48 payments. That's 4 years. Take out a 30-year loan to refinance the 4 years you have left, and what you'll end up doing is paying the same amount of money plus interest, but you'll have 30 years to pay it off, which would make your monthly payments much lower than it would have been. My point is, get with someone financial, probably someone in your church is a banker or an accountant or understands money, or get a lawyer and be proactive. Go to your lender with a proposal that will work for you. Now, your lender could say yes, he could say no. If your lender says no, you haven't lost anything. But understand, most lenders that I know, and I know more lenders than the average person, most lenders do not want to foreclose on a church. Most lenders want to work something out. And if you can be proactive, you can in fact have a result that will surprise you. Now, this is good for individuals. If you're a tenant and you live in an apartment complex and you work for the airlines, or you work for a cruise line, or you work for a school system, or you own your own business and you plan to make a ton of money selling merchandise at the NCAA tournament, and there is no NCAA tournament, you've got to contact your landlord. Don't wait until the first of the month to tell the landlord you don't have the rent for the first of the month. Now, in some states, you're going to find that the landlord is legally required to give you a break because of the virus. In some states, it will be illegal for the landlord to evict you if you're a tenant. If you have a mortgage The same thing is true with you individually that I said to the pastors. If you have a mortgage and something has happened because of this virus, your income is going down, your business is not prospering. What you want to don't set up a GoFundMe account right away. What you want to do is go find your banker and tell your banker, listen, you've seen my record. I've paid my mortgage. I've never been late. But I'm telling you now, I'm about to hit hard times. And I want you to know that when I get back on my feet, I'll do exactly what I need to do. But you propose to the lender the solution that fits your needs. Now, of course, that assumes that you're in touch with your own business. What I've decided to do during this time of quarantine and curfew, when I'm no longer able to jump on airplanes and fly across the country, all of my events have been canceled, much of my schedule has changed. I've decided to spend more time really looking at my money, looking at my accounts, thinking about my future, assessing what my opportunities are, refining my budget. I've decided to know my numbers. I'll tell you this. I shouldn't tell you this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. You know, in my book, Say Yes to No Debt, and in my workbook, 12 Steps to Financial Freedom, I am passionate. I mean, I've sold thousands of books teaching people to spend 7 minutes a day looking at their finances, to read their bills. And I get so busy myself that I, as author of the book and the leader and creator of dfree, I sometimes go weeks without reading my bills. Now I've got time. I can't go anywhere. I got to be in by 8 o'clock. And so now I've decided to spend this time, this coronavirus time, looking at my cell phone plan to make sure I really have the right plan. You know, sometimes they'll change cell phone plans and give you more plan for less money, but they won't tell you. And if you don't read your bill, you won't know. Look at my cable bill. I've made a commitment to decide on whether or not I even want cable. I've got one of those Fire Sticks, and I took it to my barber, and he did something to it. I think they call it jailbreak, and now I get movies for free. I may not need cable at all. I've made a decision to look at my numbers, to read my bills. I don't have debt, so I don't have to look at my debt, to look at my options, to think about my future. This is a perfect time to read a new book and learn something about the stock market. Listen, in the next 8 to 12 weeks, the stock market is going to be as low as it has ever been. This is a good time to understand how to invest in stock. One of my young staff persons bought her first stock in real estate. She wants to be a real estate investor, and she's starting by buying stock in a real estate company. This is a great time to learn your numbers, because the more you know about your numbers, the more capable you'll be not only of negotiating with your landlord or your banker, but you'll be capable of expanding your strategy for your own financial future. So we have a movement, we call it dfree. You know that, you're on the dfree site. dfree stands for no debt, delinquencies, and deficits, because if you get rid of debt, delinquencies, and deficits, if you pay as you go, pay your bills on time, and live within your means, you can start saving, making deposits in your own accounts. You can earn dividends from your own investments, and you can have your name on a deed for real estate that you own. That's dfree. While you are home, while you have more time than you perhaps have had in a long time, while you're telecommuting, while you're working remotely, you not only should you go to our website, mydfree.org, but we can actually walk you through the entire dfree process online for free. We call it the dfree Academy. You go to the website, you click dfree Academy, it's right there. I've met people, just last weekend, I met people in Georgia who bought my book 5 years ago and never read it. Just never read it. And I get that. I own books I haven't read. I buy books that I put on the shelf. But now we have time. And although we would prefer not to have a virus, it's a gift from God to have time to do things and learn things that we always said we wanted to do and wanted to learn and never did it. And the beauty is, you don't have to be in a group. You don't have to violate the law and be in a group of 10, 15, or 50. You can go right there, mydfree.org, and sign up for the 12 Steps to Financial Freedom. The book goes along with it. You can download the book for just a couple of dollars, and we'll walk you through. I personally tell you all of my business, all the dumb stuff I did with money. I will walk you through the entire program at home for free online. That's the dfree curriculum, the dfree content, 12 steps to financial freedom, and you don't have to pay 1 penny to go through the program. We are not having events in the near future, of course. No one else is either. I've canceled all of my speaking engagements. I was going to South Carolina. I can't go. I was going to Atlantic City. I can't go. I was going to Long Island tomorrow. I can't go. I was going to Baltimore next weekend. I can't go. And so what I've decided is that since I can't come to you, I'm just going to connect with you through Facebook, through YouTube, through Instagram, through LinkedIn. We're going to be as close to you as we possibly can, despite the fact that we can't come to you by car or by plane. But meet us halfway. Meet us at mydfree.org and keep in touch with what we're doing. Listen, we're having a big party Monday night. Monday night, you'll love this. Monday night, we're having a release party, the way they used to do in the record industry before big artists release an album. We're going to do what the young people call drop. We're going to drop our new season 3 podcast called In the Black. We got a young lady from South Carolina that can teach you how to make $100,000 a year doing 6 sets of fingernails a day, 4 days a week. She's on our podcast. We've got a podcast that will teach you how to use the rent that you pay to rent an apartment to improve your credit score. So Monday night, we're going to have a podcast release party. And listen, if you sign up for the party and participate in the party, no matter where you are in the country, we're going to send you free food so that we can all eat together as if we were in the same room. Now, you can't beat that. The first 20 people that show up for the party are going to get free food from Grubhub, courtesy of dfree. That's Monday night. And then we're developing a mobile app where you can be a part of the $1 billion challenge movement right from your phone. And we have more courses that we're putting online. And we have a competition. Do you know, listen, dfree is the only organization in the world that will give you a cash prize for paying off your own debt. You got to go to the $1 Billion Challenge website. It's billiondollarpaydown.com. And of course, if you're a Delta Sigma Theta sorority member, you're already in it. But so far, 10,000 people have paid down $24 million in debt. And this year, the organization, the groups that pay down the most debt will win cash prizes. Have you ever heard of that? Listen, after slavery, the country offered us 24 acres and a mule. We never got an acre. We never got a mule. We can't give you acres or mules, but I'm telling you, the dfree movement is so committed to breaking the back of financial slavery. We're so committed to helping you take control of your own money. We are so determined to lead our people towards financial freedom. We will literally pay you to pay off your debt. So listen, I've said enough. This is a privilege to be with you tonight, and I'm sure I'll be with more of you after tonight. But I want you to know that during this crisis, that the virus has some power, but God has all power. And the fact that you woke up this morning, and the fact that you'll wake up tomorrow morning, it means that God has something new for you that's worth having. And so I pray again, as I began, for those persons that are directly impacted by this coronavirus, this COVID-19. I'm asking all of us to find at least one person, especially a senior citizen, that we can support during this very, very stressful time. But I want you to take a look at your numbers. I want you to negotiate your debt. I don't want you to sit back and just allow this season to take you down. I want you to prove that your passion plus God's power can lift you up despite what's happening all around you. So God bless you. You can reach us at mydfree.org. That's mydfree.org. Sign up for the D-Free Academy. Sign up for the $1 Billion Pay Down. Form a group, join the movement, and win a prize for paying off your own debt. God bless you, and I'll see you very soon. This is Instagram. I'll see you later on Instagram. I think you are going to be on my, what do they call that? My story. Yeah. All right, Facebook. Now, time to end you.